You! It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who stepped on my hand.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
What's a little girl like you doing here anyway?
Huh? Are you blind or something?
What's that letter?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
Wait! How do you know Mary's name?
Previously on Traipsing through Silent Hill 2.
You didn't love Mary anyway.
Wait! How do you know Mary's name? You could be her twin. Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes are different.
My name is Maria.
Huh? Laura? But why?
Laura. Is that her name?
That's what she said.
So there were a couple of things that I didn't show off in the last episode. First, if you try to get James to squeeze through the nook after Laura, this happens.
James, you can't make it through there.
Second, during my rant about Maria's personality, we walked past this part of Heaven's Night. Now, there's a bit of flavor text if you examine the bottles of liquor that are blocking the stairs. Basically, James admits to using alcohol to numb himself to pain and loneliness. The pain of Mary being either sick or dead is not clear, but it is there. The thing that's super annoying about this is that Silent Hill 2's examination text cancels out if you so much as flick the directional stick or happen to be holding the directional stick while you are actually trying to examine something. This text only triggers once. If you cancel out of it, you miss your chance to read it, and it gets replaced with this. Guess what I did literally every previous time I have ever examined this spot. Cancelled out of the text only to re-examine it and get the developer's middle finger instead. This is a massive dick move. This text makes James seem a little bit more human, and there's no reason to be hiding it like this. It also provides context for the "there was a hole here" message in Neely's bar. That is to say, James can no longer use alcohol to hide from what's happened. Finally, this is the stage. This is right behind the stage. Notice how there is no backstage for the people working here. This town is the worst. Getting to the actual bulk of today's episode, though, there's another content warning. Brookhaven Hospital is, I guess, supposed to be a mental institution. Like all hospitals in a horror setting, there are really stupid portrayals of mental illness. There are also instances of suicidal commentary and references to self-harm. It permeates just about everything in this dungeon, so please be advised. Front matter now officially taken care of. Welcome back to the nightmarish merry-go-round that is the low-pressure capital of the world. It is I, your loyal host, Jonathan Charles Bruce, and you are my most wonderful and attractive viewers, so let's explore Brookhaven Hospital together. First order of business is to grab the map off the wall. Directly across from the entrance is the reception area, so let's check in after trying to get a decent angle on the umbrella stand. You don't have to memorize these names or anything, just know that these three gentlemen may occasionally be popping up on our journey in the form of notes and other detritus scattered about the hospital. Also, they all have J names. I wonder if that's important at all. Speaking of notes, this is going to be a very note-happy update. To illustrate how annoying audio logs would be in this game, I'm going to edit out the text of the next note and narrate it while we're walking about. Why? Because I'm whimsical.
The potential for this illness exists in all people, and under the right circumstances, any man or woman would be driven, like him, to the other side. The other side perhaps may not be the best way to phrase it. After all, there is no wall between here and there. It lies on the borders where reality and unreality intersect. It is a place both close and distant. Some say it isn't even an illness. I cannot agree with them. I'm a doctor, not a philosopher or even a psychiatrist. But sometimes I have to ask myself this question. It's true that, to us, his imaginings are nothing but the inventions of a busy mind. But to him, there simply is no other reality. Furthermore, he is happy there. So why, I ask myself, why in the name of healing him must we drag him painfully into the world of our own reality? Addendum. I got the key from Joseph. It's probably the key to that box.
Now, according to that award-winningly acted note, there's a box owned by the sad dad we gotta be on the lookout for. Now, we do happen to have picked up a key for it, the, purple bull key? Or whatever? I'm sure that'll be the end of that, and we don't have to do anything else. Now, everything is either locked up or barred on the first floor, so we're going to take the stairs up. I'm also going to disable the radio for the remainder of our stay to illustrate 2 key points. 1, that the monsters are noisy as fuck, and 2, that the music cues work just as well as the radio does. So we encounter a returning-ish foe. Unlike their Silent Hill 1 counterparts, these nurses are decidedly less human in anything but outline and their, sexualized lady bits. They are faceless, twitchy, and lack the parasite from the first game. There is a blood-hued variant that we'll see later on that does have something growing on their back, but that's less relevant than it was in Alessa's horror show. Nurses are pretty hardy and very aggressive, using one of 2 attacks. The first is a wide swing which does a sizable chunk of damage, and that they'll hilariously spam endlessly if you hover just out of their attack range. The other is a less used but far-reaching poke, similar to James's. Both attacks can be blocked, but blocking still does damage to James and won't prevent follow-up attacks whatsoever. So really, why bother? See, combat in Silent Hill 1 and 2 works in that a monster will attack continuously when you're in range until they get bored. If any attack connects, the monsters enter a cooldown state where they are therefore vulnerable to counterattack. James does not get any invincibility frames when he's struck, which means that if there are multiple monsters attacking you out of sync and one manages to hit you, they all hit you and you're stunned long enough for the first monster to get in another attack, repeating the cycle. All blocking really does is prevent some damage, but it doesn't count as a hit, so until the monster gets bored, you can easily take just as much damage blocking than you could just taking a full hit. So why is this even a feature? Sorry, anyway, nurses. Really just prep the pipe, hold down the attack button, and they'll just kind of wander into your poke. Or shoot them. They're not exactly the smartest creatures on Earth. So our first stop on this floor is the locker rooms. Why? Because it is Silent Hill and personal belongings are for dorks. Rummaging through a bloody lab coat in the men's locker room nets us a sweet, sweet examination room key. So there's really nothing to suggest that the blood is spooky except for the fact that it happens to be blood. As I've argued before, gore without context is gross, not scary.
Ow!
What's wrong?
I just pricked myself.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
So, why there's a bear in here is really anyone's guess. But it did give us a rusty and bent needle, so whatever, right? Besides, it's just distracting us from the real prize of the women's locker room. Hell yeah! The shotgun is your basic boomstick in that it kills most enemies very easily at close range and is useless beyond a few feet because apparently no one in the video game industry has ever fired a gun before. It has a very nasty kick, and every round must be manually pumped into the chamber, so it's not a pure upgrade over the pistol in terms of all-around stats, but it's still very good at keeping the nasties at bay. It can be used for crowd control, but outside of hard mode, that will never really come up. You also get a metric fuck ton of ammo for it, so there's really no point in preserving shells once we leave the hospital. While we could go immediately down to the exam room with our STI-infused key, let's check out the rest of the floor, shall we? What is it about mental illness that makes people think it strips sufferers of the ability to spell and use proper punctuation? You do realize that's not the case, right? Whatever, continue to use lazy shorthand because it's supposedly scary. Anyway, the author seems to be Joshua Lewis, who was the violent guy, if you recall. It could also theoretically be Joseph, but I digress. Whoever it is, they handily give us the code 5932 for reasons. The Lapis I key, surprisingly enough, has a lapis lazuli inset in it. Where it is used is presently unclear, but since James knows he's in a video game, we're going to steal that shit. Much of this level is just kind of running from room to room, clearing out enemies and gathering whatever bits of scrap we can. Why, it's pretty much just like the apartments, only this time we can actually see which doors are accessible, which I think is actually a really cool touch. And it's also not going to stop me from obsessively checking most doors anyway. So you've probably noticed by now that Maria actually has a superpower that allows her to teleport into rooms ahead of James. This room in particular is actually a massive pain in hard mode, as there are two nurses here, one who goes for James, the other for Maria. You basically have to knock down the first, cut off the second one and knock it down, gun down the first one as it gets up, try to stomp it, gun down the second one, and stomp that one. It's a really good example of the combat system's failings. Hard mode's Brookhaven is actually the most bullshit part of the game, and really one of two parts where it was clear I couldn't do a hard mode run and keep things semi-entertaining. There are swarms of nurses that basically become walking bullet walls. Killing them is pointless because it takes forever and they respawn. On top of that, they're twice as fast as normal and they hit much, much harder. Meaning that even when you manage to knock one down, 3 or 4 will prevent you from performing the requisite coup de grace. Best case scenario is that you're running around in the dark. Worst case is that you're spending forever plinking them to death with your pea shooter. And sure, in the direct definition, it is hard, but it's a boring to watch, grindy kind of hard. This is a clue to our next puzzle, but not the puzzle from the poorly typed note. Let's file that away and head to the 3rd floor. So, what if these nurses are actually just doing their job and James is violently dispatching them? Won't someone please think of the faceless horror demons? So here's a 9-digit passcode panel. Now, we know that in the past, the solutions were X and Z, and that this solution is supposed to be T, so this isn't really too hard to figure out. You just punch the button where one's finger would stop while traditionally writing the letter, so X would probably have been 1937, and Z 1379. This makes T 1328.
James. Wait a minute. I'm kind of tired. It's just a hangover.
You should rest.
So comfy.
I'm gonna go look for her. For Laura. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Well, we don't have to cart Maria around anymore, which is nice. We're just gonna grab the roof key here and head on out. If for whatever reason, like stupidity, you're concerned about Maria, you can check on her for one of 2 additional conversations.
I'll be okay soon. Did you find Laura? James, I want to ask you something. What if you can't find Mary? What will you do?
I haven't thought about that.
Fascinating. As with most things involving this dumbass, checking on Maria influences something down the road. But since I have no reason to care about nihilist pixie dream girl, we're just gonna fuck off. Apparently we need to find a long, narrow tool. Shame Harry Mason's not here. At the very least, he's got the tool part down. Also, the fuck is that slime? Is that plot slime? Is it similar to the Scooby-Doo brand easy read telltale scratches that are so popular in this series? Why was this allowed in a patient's room? So Louise is, in a box? What is the series' obsession with putting women or parts of women into boxes? At least we understand where the icebox puzzle from Origins came from. The box is covered in locks, of which we have 2 keys and a combination. We can use the code from the carbon paper to undo the lock to the right, and then use the purple bold key and the lapis eye key to unlatch half of the bindings. One of the neat things is that you can occasionally combine keys in the menu to undo multiple things at once. You know, it's the little things. So now we need to get the code for the dial lock. I'm guessing we'll find it on the roof, so let's go exploring. As we make our way there, I just want to point out that I'm pretty sure Louise is sad dad Joseph Barkin's daughter. You know, the one whose death he feels responsible for. There is a tragedy to this ephemera that is horribly undermined by this stereotypical and pretty offensive view of mental illness, making this whole thing rather farcical. Well, that was, cheerful. I think this is supposed to imply that the author of the journal killed himself, but the long scratched mark mid-sentence implies to me that he was murdered, like he was pushed while writing this in his journal. Knowing the state of Silent Hill 2's healthcare system, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if the developers wanted it to be suicide, why did the author just trail off in the weirdest possible way, fling the diary to the ground, and then jump? Everything leading up to the final entry was fine. It's that last bit that obfuscates meaning. It's almost like they didn't know what they were doing with that. Also, I'm pretty sure that the author of this is supposed to be Jack Davis, mentioned in the very first note of Brookhaven. If you're quick, you can actually pop off a few rounds into the antagonist. It doesn't do anything, though. This is unavoidable damage. Hope you didn't heal before now. The padded cell with a leather restraining strap is a very tiny window into the quality of Silent Hill's medical service providers. There's a note written in blood, etched onto the wall. The numbers are purposely difficult to read, but the misspelled turn indicates that this is our dial lock passcode. You know what would have been scary all on its own? The tiny, cramped room with the restraints. The treatment of the people suffering at the hands of medical professionals is an actual source of horror. The patients? Not so much. Now then, let's go find Louise's head or whatever. As I mentioned, the passcode is purposely difficult to read, however, trial and error will eventually make it clear that it's supposed to be 5366. Oh. Okay, well, that's not much better than a head, really. Wouldn't like a bracelet or something work better as a keepsake? We've just explored the available hospital. What exactly do we do now? Well, believe it or not, we have the tools needed to fish out the key down the hall. Did you guess that we needed to combine the rusty needle from a random teddy bear with a strand of human hair to create a long, narrow tool? If yes, then you have precisely the same bizarre logic as the puzzle designer. I get that these are the only two items that you can find in here, but this is kinda stupid. Now, I'm sure human hair is a super reliable fishing line and all, but if I had been in this situation, I would have run back to the entrance and stolen one of the stripped umbrellas for this task. Why couldn't the item in the box have been like a doll's hand or something? You know, they kinda have a hook shape. And the bear could have been wrapped in fishing wire or hanging from a noose or something equally disturbing. It doesn't matter. We now have an elevator key, so let's unlock an elevator that somehow still functions in a hospital shrouded in darkness. This town is very selective about its power outages. Of course, it's arbitrary in just about everything else, and no one seems to question this, so I guess I just have to deal with it.
Where are you planning to go? But we haven't found Laura yet.
Laura?
Huh? You know my name?
Eddie told me.
That big fat blabbermouth.
How do you know about Mary?
What's the big deal?
Why can't you just tell me?
You gonna yell at me if I don't?
No. I won't.
I was friends with Mary. We met at the hospital. It was last year.
You liar! Laura,
Fine, don't believe me.
But last year, Mary was already... I'm sorry, Laura. Anyway, let's go. We can talk about this later. This is no place for a kid. There are all sorts of strange things around here. I can't believe you haven't even gotten a scratch on you.
Why should I? Wait, there's something I gotta get.
Later, okay?
But it's really important.
What is it?
A letter from Mary.
Huh?
I wanna go get it, is that okay?
Yes, yes.
I just want to point out how much I love the widescreen patch. I know that it makes some cutscenes look weird, but I love seeing the seams of the production. It never occurred to me that the light source was James, and that he would have to function as both light and actor in a given scene. I think it's super cool.
Come on, hurry up.
Is it in there?
Yeah, in the back.
What are you doing, Laura?
It's further back, in the desk.
Laura! What are you doing?
Ha ha, I tricked you.
Open the door, Laura.
Why should I? I'm a liar, right? Want me to open it? Huh? Do ya? What's the magic word?
Laura?
Okay, I guess I won't open it. I think I'll just leave you like this.
You snotty little brat! Open up!
Why, you...
Laura?
You hurt me!
Yes, Laura is a horrible brat and she locked us in a room with monsters. So while we could talk about how she somehow met Mary at a hospital about a year ago, or how the bear that had the needle in it looked like it was a trap set by her, or how this conversation and James's lack of acknowledgement of Brookhaven indicates that this is just some random hospital instead of the one where Mary was seeking treatment, we now have to murder these weird-ass things instead. So, not gonna lie, I have no clue what they were going for. Seriously, what the hell are they supposed to be? People wrapped in a tarp and put in a box? The fuck was that weird fleshy beak thing? Where is that weird fleshy beak thing? Whatever. They're stupid and I hate them. So these hanger things move around the room somehow. They aren't really restricted by the tracks on the ceiling and they don't swing about on that arm of theirs, so, wizards? They're wizards? They can strangle. And they can kick. The kick is blockable. The thought of lying on the floor and shooting the fuckers from there doesn't occur to James because he is an idiot. Both the shotgun and handgun are effective for this fight. The shotgun is definitely a bit more hazardous, and there's a good chance you'll whiff a couple of shots because it takes a moment for James to aim up, which is exactly why we don't fire from the hip, dumbass. Once you kill one of the goofy things, a siren sounds. You normally won't hear it over the radio going ballistic and the music playing discordantly, but with the radio off you can at least kinda hear it, but it'll be much clearer once we ice the last one. Oh. Oh shit. On the next episode of Traipsing Through Silent Hill 2.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me.